Most men think the problem is that women don't like them enough. That if they were more confident, more attractive, or said the right things, everything would change. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that most men are chasing without realizing it. And the moment you chase, attraction quietly disappears. This video is about stopping that pattern completely. Not by playing games, not by pretending to be cold, not by manipulating anyone, but by understanding a simple psychological truth that flips attraction in your favor. Because the men women chase are not doing more, they're doing less. And more importantly, they are being something different internally. If you've ever wondered why you put in effort, attention, and interest only to feel ignored, taken for granted, or slowly pushed away, this is the reason. Chasing is not an action, it's a mindset. You can be texting her, talking to her, seeing her regularly, and still not be chasing. At the same time, you can say very little and still be chasing emotionally. Women don't respond to what you do, they respond to what your behavior signals. And chasing signals one thing very clearly: need. Need for validation, need for reassurance, need for outcome, and need is the fastest way to lose attraction. Here's what most men don't understand. Attraction is not created by effort. It's created by position. The man who is trying to get something is never in the position of power. The man who already feels complete is. Women don't chase men who are trying to be chosen. They chase men who appear self-contained. This doesn't mean arrogant. It doesn't mean rude. It doesn't mean unavailable. It means internally stable. A man who doesn't need a woman's attention to feel okay sends a very different signal than a man who does. And women feel this instantly. You don't have to say it. You don't have to show it. Your energy communicates it automatically. This is why chasing almost never looks like chasing to the man doing it. It feels like caring. It feels like effort. It feels like interest. But to her nervous system, it feels like pressure. Pressure doesn't create attraction. It creates resistance. This is why the harder you try, the further away she feels. The moment you start monitoring her reactions, checking for signs, waiting for replies, adjusting your behavior to keep her interest, you've already lost the position. Because now, emotionally, she is the prize. And attraction does not move upward toward need. It moves toward strength and self-sufficiency. To stop chasing, you have to stop seeing women as the source of your value. That's the uncomfortable part most men avoid. When your confidence depends on her response, you are no longer grounded. You are reactive. And reactive men don't get chased. A man who is grounded does not rush. He does not over-explain. He does not seek certainty too early. He allows things to unfold. This calm restraint is not accidental. It comes from a different internal identity. He does not see himself as someone trying to win her over. He sees himself as someone observing whether the connection fits his life. That single shift changes everything. The tone of his voice slows, his body relaxes, his attention becomes selective. And women feel that shift immediately. This is where being the prize actually begins. Not in how you look, not in how much money you make, not in how clever your words are, but in how little you need external validation to feel grounded. The prize is not the man with the most options. The prize is the man who doesn't need to chase any option. When you stop chasing, something interesting happens. Women begin to feel emotionally ahead of you. They notice that you're not trying to impress, that you're not rushing intimacy, that you're not over-investing. And when someone feels themselves leaning in while the other person remains steady, the psychological balance shifts. People value what they invest in. When she invests emotionally first, even subtly, her mind starts justifying that investment. This is how chasing reverses naturally, not because you pulled away, not because you ignored her, but because you stopped pushing. Another mistake men make is confusing effort with value. Effort does not equal value. Scarcity does. And the rarest thing today is a man who is emotionally regulated. a man who can sit in silence without discomfort, a man who can enjoy a connection without clinging to it, a man who is okay whether it continues or not. That emotional independence is magnetic, not because it's calculated, but because it's real. You don't become the prize by demanding attention. You become the prize by not needing it. And the moment you truly internalize that, the dynamic changes. You stop chasing women, and instead, you give them space to move toward you. Once you stop chasing, you'll notice something subtle begin to change. Your mind becomes quieter. Your reactions slow down. You stop measuring every interaction. And this inner shift is what women respond to most. Because attraction does not come from intensity. It comes from emotional stability. Most men think women want to feel excited all the time, but excitement without safety feels unstable. What women are actually drawn to is grounded energy, the feeling that you are steady regardless of what happens. When you stop chasing, you stop trying to control outcomes. You stop needing clarity immediately. You stop trying to lock things in too early. And that creates space. Space is where attraction grows. When there is space, she gets to think. She gets to feel. She gets to wonder. Wonder is what turns interest into pursuit. This is why men who are constantly available rarely get chased. They remove all mystery. They remove all anticipation. A man who has direction in his life doesn't orbit a woman. He invites her into a life that is already moving. An invitation is attractive. Orbiting is not. Another important shift happens when you stop chasing. You begin to set boundaries naturally. Not because you're trying to appear strong, but because you respect your time and energy. You don't reply just because you're bored. You don't agree just to keep peace. You don't stretch yourself thin to keep someone interested. Boundaries communicate value without saying a word. A man with boundaries feels solid, and solidity creates trust. Trust allows attraction to deepen. There is also something powerful about not over-investing early. When you invest too much too soon, you create imbalance, and imbalance always pushes the other person away. Balanced energy feels safe. You give attention when it's earned. You show interest when it's mutual. You move forward when it feels natural. This pacing is what makes women feel comfortable leaning in, not pressured, not rushed. Comfort is often misunderstood as boring, but comfort combined with self-respect is rare, and rarity is attractive. Another thing you'll notice when you stop chasing is that rejection stops hurting as much, because you're no longer attaching your self-worth to outcomes. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you move on without resentment. That emotional maturity is felt. Women can sense when a man won't collapse emotionally if things don't go his way. And paradoxically, that makes them more drawn to him, because he doesn't need them to feel whole. This is the essence of being the prize. The prize is not someone who demands attention. The prize is someone who is already complete. A man who doesn't need to convince. A man who doesn't need to chase. A man who doesn't need to be chosen. He chooses. And women feel safe choosing him back. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care without attachment. You show interest without desperation. You give attention without expectation. And that balance is what flips the dynamic. When you stop chasing women, you don't become distant. You become grounded. And grounded men don't need to pursue. They attract. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Stop trying to be wanted. Start being whole. When you do that, the chase ends, and something better begins. Now, if you want to understand this on an even deeper level, there's another video you need to watch next. In this video, we focused on stopping the chase and becoming the prize. But there's a deeper psychological reason why this works, and it has everything to do with emotional independence. That's exactly what I break down in my video called Why Women Are Attracted to Men Who Don't Need Them. Watch that next, because once you understand why not needing is attractive, you'll never fall back into chasing again. You won't force attraction. You'll allow it. And that's when everything changes.